Piece for a minute, because if we talk about, I loved hearing this human side of the complex diplomatic process, what it takes to stick to it and to represent the voiceless. And Isatis has been working to create an expanded civic space where citizens can come together to do that kind of work locally, to bring their voices into the policy process. And I guess I have kind of two questions for you, Isatis. One is the aim of that to make sure that national governments come to intergovernmental meetings with the empowerment of knowing that their people are demanding this? Is that one thing? What do you think of that? And the other is, what needs to happen in order to make, the Glasgow Work Program on Action for Climate Empowerment into an engine for this expanded civic space?
Thank you so much. I think that this takes me back to a little bit of why we're hopeful, because even in times of frustration, it felt like we were coming more together and trying to develop more creative ways to like interject the process, or to develop like new ways to support, like those negotiators, as Quorum was saying, that, so often they're intimidated and they ask for help of like allies. So it's great to be that. So I think like the citizens assemblies that we have created as part of a greater concept of like expanding that negotiations, like into the national policies, is a space for people to really be able to come together and share visions and construct a better future. So for example, in the case of Puerto Rico, we have an island that is not represented, because definitely the US does not represent the urgency that Puerto Rico needs to be, nor our priorities. So and I think that the Prime Minister of Barbados said it nicely. She said that it's change for those who are not affected, and then for us it is a crisis, right? So we operate on that, and a citizen assembly in the case of Puerto Rico serves two different ways. We live in a place where, through our colonial status and our, government that has failed to address this issue, people are mostly disillusioned with the formal process, but they want to help make it better, right? Like, how do we influence, like the plan that is getting into place on mitigation, adaptation, and resilience? But at the same time, is how do we do that if the government fails us? So, and that was the only way, like I don't mean to sound pessimist, but that was the only way that we were able to survive on Maria. It was because of people helping people. And then that is the nature of what we see, like we're hosting this citizen assembly. And even though like the idea is to have outputs to go into the formal plan, people have become to say like, well, we need to organize the, the territory in a way that allows us to have plan in like super focalized, like community climate plans, so that we can really hold each other, learn each other, and have a way to develop our communities. And I think that something interesting coming out of that process, and that it has created are bridges to connect with other Latin American countries, seeing them as examples, but also bringing them in for them to share what were their participatory process like in constructing their NDCs, specifically, you know, like Chile and Dominican Republic. So it's like building those bridges so that regional conversation can happen. And then some insights from this is like, even in a country where we have never heard of technical terms like ACE, you know, Action for Climate Empowerment is like completely removed of the lingo or anything. When you talk to communities and ask them what is needed to do climate action, they come to you with, well, we need education, we need public participation, we need transparency, and we need accountability. So all of that, you know, like access to information, etc., is part of what ACE is, right? So this is like the most logical way for a community to say, like, this is what is needed. So now that we have a Glasgow work program that is trying to update from the Doha work program, we have a lot of gaps that are in between these sessions, for example, or between these concepts, is that we know that some of the challenges has been, financing or prioritization of the subject. So we have 4 priority areas in order to do that. And those being, of course, policy coordination. We also have coordinated action, tools and support, and evaluation and reporting. So these are kind of like big buckets. Now we need specifics, you know, like we need specific actions that we can track annually, and make sure that our countries are doing the best they can in enhancing climate empowerment across all like climate policy. So looking forward to that work in 2022, and we will be there.
Thank you, Isatis. I think, you know, listening to you, it strikes me that if communities are able to do what you talked about, if community level, not just empowerment, but activation, if people working locally on climate plans and implementing them, if that can become part of national climate action, it becomes much harder for national governments to wriggle out of their responsibility or to be under ambitious, right? Because it's bad enough to not deal with the problem in an ambitious way, in an urgent way, but it would be ridiculous to try to do less than your country is doing on its own without your leadership. So, you know, I think that's something we should all kind of keep in mind.